Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Mic'd Up with McIlvoy on location here inside of Toyota Center, part of opening night this week for the Rockets. Couple of home games before they head to San Antonio. The excitement is building as a brand new NBA season is here. And how about these Rockets? After a 41-41 season a year ago, a big step forward for this franchise after a few lean years. Now they feel like, despite the youth, that they have the talent that can make a playoff push in a very, very deep and talented Western Conference. They had the opener starting on Wednesday night against the Charlotte Hornets. San Antonio Spurs got Memphis on Friday night, then the Spurs on the road starting on Sunday. Rocket season is here. Everybody is excited. All right, let's talk more about this brand new Rocket season that is underway. Ari Alexander here at Toyota Center tonight. It's been a long off season, but one highly anticipated, Ari, when you look at this basketball team. They've still got some young guys on this team, but there's a lot of talent that Ime Udoka has to work with. It's going to be fun to watch again.
And there's not a lot of change. You're going to see a lot of the same faces. You're going to see guys coming back from injury. Steven Adams is going to be a big piece. He was a guy who was out all of last year. They traded for him. He didn't get to play. He's going to be in the lineup this season. He's just kind of a big bruiser, sets picks, gets rebounds, toughness, good locker room guy from everything I've heard around the league. You have Tari Eason, missed so much time last year. He's such a multi-talented player, kind of a jack-of-all-trades, do-everything guy. And then Reed Shepherd is new. Other than that, it's all the same guys coming back, and you're hoping that Jalen Green, $106 million you're paying him, Alperen Şengün, $185 million you're paying him, that they take the big leap and those are your closers.
They really have to, and people, you just mentioned a lot of names. There's going to be a lot of guys fighting for minutes here off the Rockets bench, but let's begin with the Jalen Alperen Şengün news. Earlier this week on a Tuesday, I believe, they made it official ahead of the deadline. They got the rookie contract extensions in place. You just mentioned the numbers. Alperen Şengün got a couple extra years, 3 years for Jalen Green. I think they want to see more from Jalen Green to see what he can deliver this year and elevate his game. I think Alperen Şengün's already been showing that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the contract for Jalen Green specifically, it worked out for both sides. So the Rockets financially, the commitment isn't massive. I mean, $30 million is a lot of money, but within NBA salary cap standards, the commitment's not massive on their part. On the other hand, Jalen, it's a 2+1, so he has a player option in year 3, which has apparently never been done for that kind of rookie scale extension. And so you have a guy that now has a little bit of flexibility. Then the Rockets have flexibility to keep building out their roster, so that one worked well together. And then Şengün, the financial commitment means this guy's got to be your alpha. And the way that the league has gone, where Nikola Jokic has become the best player in the NBA, if you're looking at Şengün as a baby Jokic, if you build your team around that kind of player and he takes that leap, maybe you do have a championship caliber roster.
He has certainly risen the ranks when you look at the development he's had since year number 1. Not only his game, he now speaks really good English, by the way. He's been working on that. But back to Jalen Green for a moment. He had a great month of March, and everybody's talking about, can he sustain that for a whole season? I don't think you can play at that level the whole season. Maybe Steph Curry can when it comes to shooting, but he's got to get those numbers up and come close to what he did in March, because post-All-Star break, he actually did pretty well. The numbers went up for him.
Yeah, he's a guy that the ceiling is super high, and that's the reason the Rockets drafted him. It's the reason the Rockets liked him, is that he's got a mentality of a guy that can be your lead scorer, and we've seen it in spurts. We've seen 3 great weeks and then 2 awful weeks and then 2 good weeks, and it's just
be consistent.
It's just never come and where you've seen him fully take the leap and become that guy. The hope is he does that this year.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to have eyes on Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün. I love watching Şengün play, no doubt about that. Reed Shepherd making his debut here at Toyota Center for the first 2 games of this season. The kid's only 20 years old, but he seems pretty poised out there. In the preseason, he looked pretty good off the bench for the Rockets.
And I think he's a guy that NBA media around the country is going to be looking at as a potential Rookie of the Year, even though he wasn't the first overall pick. His game is so polished, it seems like he's going to be a good fit for just a ready-made rotation player in the NBA. Is he going to be a star yet? Probably not. But as a rotation guy, he seems to be a fit.
So much youth on this basketball team. I was talking to Ime Udoka, and we'll hear from him in a minute. He says, you know what, the youth is really not an excuse anymore. These guys have to grow up. You got Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith Jr., Jalen Green, Reed Shepherd, all these guys in their early 20s right now. living the NBA life, and they're paid good money to deliver every night here.
And it's up to Ime Udoka to kind of crack down on bad habits or little things that might pop up throughout the year. He's a hard coach to play for. He's a guy that demands a lot, and I think that's good with a young roster.
Real quick, Western Conference, you look at Rockets making a playoff run after a 41-41 year. This is a deep Western Conference. It's not going to be easy just to get that play-in.
And that's my biggest concern. No matter how good the Rockets get, there are so many good teams in the Western Conference.
All right, Ime Udoka beginning year number 2 as head coach. I had this chance to sit down with Ime earlier this week at the Memorial Hermann Training Center. Here's some of that conversation.
Okay, good to see you, and man, appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.
It's been a long journey to get to this point. A new season's about to start. Where's the excitement level right now? You've done this for a while now. You played the game as well.
Yeah.
Is it something special about getting to opening night?
Yeah, it's always the natural excitement. I wouldn't say anxiety or nervousness or anything like that, but you're ready to go, especially, preseason games are behind us. I feel like we've been off for, 5 or 6 days now, and, long off season. So, longer than we would have liked, and so we were ready to get back into it and get the games going.
We got the new facility right behind us. I mean, what a gym. I mean, when you saw the progress of this facility and what all they were doing with it, seeing it to its completion, I mean, how cool is this to have this?
Yeah, it's a huge luxury. Obviously, gives us all the amenities that we need, the space that we need, and just more of a comfort level, instead of the monotony of being at the arena, for games and practices and all those things. It's just a home away from home, I guess. And for us, you saw it from the shell, a few months ago, and how fast they put it up and how intricate everything is. I think it's all we could ask for and more.
What excites you when you look at your roster and your talent? You had a year with them last year. What excites you most about this group and the development that they've had?
I would say the potential of our group in general. I think, we saw a lot of young guys take steps at times last year, and looking for more of that this year. Guys had really good off seasons, and consistency and potential to be what we hope to be. And so that's a playoff team, and for us, everybody's hungry for that. And the excitement is the depth of our team, the great mix of veterans and young guys, and all the positions are covered across the board. So there's a lot to be excited about, and looking forward to get going.
I want to ask you about the veteran leadership on this team and the group of young guys, really young guys, but talented guys. How does that kind of shape a roster from where you stand when you see these vets, and how you want them to kind of mold these young guys and mentor them?
Yeah, it's always about adding the right pieces to what we already have, and so the young guys have been through their ups and downs, early in their career with the winning and losing, but always came to work, never hung their head and got down about it, and looked to the next day, next game, next season. And so for us to add the right veterans to the mix was huge. I think you want the guys that are very vocal and can teach and be coaches on the floor, but you also got guys that can get out there and do it as well and have accomplished a lot of things. And so you look at guys like Fred and Dylan, and they're still in their prime. Obviously, we added Steven now, but Jeff, Aaron Holiday, Jay Sean, all the guys that have kind of been around. Some have gone through it. Some have brought their wisdom from other places, winning championships with Toronto for Fred and
Right.
Denver for Jeff. And so that stuff is invaluable for us, I think, to see professionalism on a day-to-day basis, and guys that can really talk about it because they've been there. It's huge for our young guys.
When you look at it's a long season to get to where you want to get. How do you keep the guys locked in on the immediate, but looking down the expectations and the goals?
Yeah, we remind them of the failures that we've had in the past and the struggles we've had. And so last year falling short, although we made improvements, we still fell short of our ultimate goal. And, you remind them of playing meaningful basketball at the end of the season and games that really mattered to try to make the playoffs and the play-in, and just remind them of that feeling, but also remind them of, being off since April and, this long off season that we want to avoid having. So, take it day by day, game by game, and don't skip steps as far as that to look too far ahead. But we all understand consistency was our biggest thing last year that we lacked. And if we're going to achieve what we want to do, we can't have the 3-game losing streaks here and there and then win 11 and kind of go back and forth there. We have to self-correct quicker on the fly. One game happens, not make the same mistakes the next night. And so avoid the little losing streaks and put more wins, stack more wins together, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Every team, and we asked you out there as well on follow-up, every team's got an identity. Sometimes you don't know immediately what that is, I would assume, at the beginning of the year as the season evolves. But what do you want the identity of this particular team to be?
Exciting because of the personnel we have, for sure. We want to play a certain style that's pleasing not only for the fans but for us and works well for us. And so faster paced up and down, with all the young athletes that we have. But at the same time, you want to have the defensive mindset and tough, hard-nosed mentality that we kind of formed last year as the season went on. So to your point, guys always played hard and worked extremely hard, but had to learn how to compete and win on the real level. And so last year you could see that start to happen as the season went on. We were improving in a lot of areas, but just the amount of scruffs and scuffles we got into, you could see that guys were taking on that mentality of not respecting everybody too much and not taking a backseat to anybody. And so that mentality has kind of stuck with us, and now that foundation has been laid last year, we can kind of hit the ground running and avoid some of those things, but also work on the other things that we need. And the competitiveness has always been there, their will and their fight has been there, and so now let's get the IQ right and consistency right and do some good things.
Jalen and Alpi, the deals got done. How important is that before this season? The pressure of that, if they were thinking about it or not, they get it done, and now you got a brand new season, locking these guys in, because I know you're very high on what they bring to the court every night.
It's huge for everybody involved, obviously for them, but our organization and everybody that surrounds them on a day-to-day basis. Something that we're very excited for them, proud of them for accomplishing, but happy we could all come to mutual agreements and be on the same page and move forward. And so, it's a stress off their shoulders for sure to get that done, and us as well. And we wanted to, tie these guys in long term that have meant so much to the team and kind of been through all the ups and downs. And so, put it behind them and look forward to bigger, better things. And regardless of that side of it, I think guys are motivated to accomplish more this year anyway. And so, they take that approach every day, and the financial is obviously icing on the cake, and that's an added bonus, but they're playing for the right reasons already anyway.
We saw an unbelievable March from Jalen Green. Is it unrealistic to think that can go full 82 at that level, or would you like to see him get close to what the production he delivered during the month of March?
Yeah, I mean, there are very few players that can put that type of month together, on a consistent basis throughout the season. Those are MVP type players, but it wasn't a fluke. It's not just a hot week or whatever. It's a great month or two that he put together, but you could see it building as it went. So regardless of the numbers or the outcome or the wins or losses, you want to see the consistency, and that's what he kind of found in that stretch was making the right plays, taking the right shots, competing on defense, and so being consistent across the board. And it took some time for different guys to grow at different paces, but once he figured it out, you kind of see he took off at the end of the season and has had great carryover leading into this season.
Last question, Reed Shepherd, expectations are high for this young rookie. Fans are excited to see, they've already seen him in preseason. Yeah. From your seat, what's impressed you most about Reed and having him a part of this team?
Well, the noticeable right off top, and the reason you draft the guy is because of the shooting ability, the IQ, and all the things that you see. But behind the scenes, he has a toughness to him, a poise to him for a young guy that's only spent 1 year in college, and a quiet confidence about himself. And so everything he adds, it will be needed from us for sure. But he's the type of guy that happens one time, he doesn't make the same mistake, so he learns very quickly and adjusts to the game, and you can already see the game starting to slow down for him, adjusting the size of the NBA defenders and the speed of the game, and we're excited for the future with him. It's gonna be good for him.
Been a pleasure to sit down with you for a few minutes. Best of luck this season, year 2 on the job. Ime Udoka, head coach of the Houston Rockets. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
When we come back on Mic'd Up with McIlvoy, a sit-down with Rockets owner Tilman Fertitta. His thoughts on his basketball team when we come back. He's a name familiar to all sports fans throughout the city of Houston and beyond. Tilman Fertitta took over ownership of the Rockets in 2017. There have been some lean years, but now this year is the year he hopes this franchise turns the corner and makes a serious run to the playoffs. I had the chance to sit down with Fertitta at his Fertitta Entertainment headquarters this past week. All right, we are inside of Fertitta Entertainment here atop the Post Oak Hotel with the man himself, Tilman Fertitta. Tilman, good to see you again, man.
Good to see you, my man.
In your environment, this is great to come up here. We appreciate you just letting us in for a few minutes to see what it's all about. A lot goes on inside this building. And
well, you were persistent enough. After a half a dozen texts, I said, let me just go ahead. He's always nice.
Well, I appreciate it because your story is fascinating. You know, you're attached to this city. You know, Galveston, well known across the globe, but I think your story is incredible and appealing to a lot of people. That's what I wanted to spend some time with you.
Sure.
I see you in the sports realm and at Toyota Center and various places, and we'll talk about that. But I mean, we're inside your headquarters right here, where a lot goes on every minute, every single day, and what a huge organization this has become for you now.
It's a lot of fun. Enjoy getting up every day and doing it.
You've seen this thing grow, and I was reading your background with your family in the restaurant business, correct? And then that's kind of what you started. Then it evolved into a lot of different kinds of things.
Well, it's kind of funny. All during high school, I worked at restaurants. I mean, I worked at Red Lobster. I worked at Don's Seafood. I worked over here at the Red Carpet Inn, in high school as a front desk clerk. So. Yeah. I learned the business, and my dad had a restaurant in Galveston, Texas, even when I was a little younger. And I started working in that one restaurant when I was like 11, 12, 13 years old. I was child labor. I would have been against the law now. So,
but you started at a young age learning the business.
Yeah, learn the business.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, I was really doing the real estate business. And then when the whole world shut down in the 80s and all the S&Ls crumbled and all these buildings in Houston, they just stopped building them. I was a partner in one restaurant over here, Willie G's and Landry's out in Katy, and a bunch of Cajun partners, they were arguing, and I said, let me just buy you all out, and that's where we are today.
How do you define success when you look at everything, whether it's one of your businesses, casinos, whatever it might be, hotels, Rockets organization? How do you, being a guy in charge, define success?
That's really interesting because I was successful at a very young age, and sometimes I feel like I've accomplished a lot, and other days I feel like I could do more. I would say in business, it was always a dream of mine. When I was a young business guy and I was going, is like, gosh, what would it take to ever be worth $200 million? That's what it took to get on the Forbes 400 back when it first came out. And I remember being intrigued with it. $200 million, how does that ever happen? Well, I think now just to qualify for the Forbes 400, it's like $3.5 billion.
Yeah, it's kind of gone up a little bit.
So there's a measurement for everything you do, whether you win a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever. I mean, and so that I kind of look at that as a measurement that it's kind of fun and nice, because it measures people in business and how they do, and they're pretty accurate.
Family is very important to you, I know, and they're part of your businesses. You got Patrick right here and other members of your family involved. How important is that to go through this journey of the business world with your family involved heavily?
Great, and all of them do different things, and it's a lot of fun. We're a family-owned company, and I'm not going to be here one day. That's just the way that God made it. And so it's good that they're all involved.
I want to talk now the sports side of what you do and the Rockets organization. I think it was 2017 is that when you purchased the team. What led you to that? And I know going back, the first part of the story is you tried early in the 90s, I believe, tried to land the team. Didn't work out. But that was always something you were interested in. Why the Rockets?
I've always loved the energy of the NBA and sitting on the floor and you can't take your eye off the ball, or you can't have a conversation and turn your head, or what are you going to miss?
All right.
And baseball and football are a little different. I could also say it was, once again, at the right opportunistic time. I'm probably disappointed that I didn't buy the Astros. I love the Astros. But I love the NBA. I love that there's 41 games and they play 3 or 4 times, say 3 times a week, but not 7 days a week sometimes.
Right. You got the new coach with Ime arriving last year. You got Rafael in the general manager role. About the relationships you as an owner try to have with your guys in charge, and these two in particular.
Well, it's great. And most owners, when they come into a league, they make some kind of change the first year, if not the second year. Mm-hmm. I think I'm the only owner that didn't have any changes in coach, general managers, or basically anything in my first 3 years, because I've always said, don't screw with something if it's going well. Mm-hmm. And I didn't. But now to have your own general manager, your own head coach, your own president of business operations, and Gretchen, right. And it's our team, and it just really works well together.
What are game nights like for you when you go there courtside? I don't know how many you make at the home games with your busy schedule, but when you're there as a fan, but you're there obviously the owner of this basketball team. What's it like there on the sidelines for you?
Well, it's great, and I'll tell you, game night. I believe it or not, out of the 41 home games, I will probably make 38 or 39, and a couple of times you just have something you cannot get out of. It could be a conflict with Mardi Gras. It could be a conflict with, just something that you just can't, from a business standpoint, or something not good or whatever. But usually I'm rushing out of this office about 6:30 and rush to the stadium to see tip off, and I love being at the games. It's just great. We look so forward to October the 15th, that first home preseason game, and knowing that for the next 6 months we have the Toyota Center to go to enjoy basketball games, and the last few years it's been 6 months, and hopefully this year or next year we stretch it to 7 months, because if you keep playing, you can play all the way through almost June 15th. So we like those 8-month seasons.
Those are a lot better.
Yeah, better than the 6-month seasons.
Got to ask you, because you've gone on record recently when you're asked about it, a lot of talk about NHL, WNBA, your interest. You talked a little bit about it there at the unveiling of the new training facility recently. If you can kind of expand a little bit on that, on the interest you have, how difficult it is to even land one of these, and kind of where things stand right now.
Well, it's hard, and we didn't have a chance to even bid on Arizona. Mm-hmm. We were, that was all arranged by the NHL, and they want Houston as well as some other major cities, Atlanta and others, to be an expansion team, and we would love to bring the NHL to Houston, and right now, they're not sure that they even want to expand. And if they do expand, they want a certain price. And the worst thing that you can do is ever do any kind of investment that isn't good. You need the numbers to work, and we're just working through it and seeing if ourselves and the NHL can get on the same page.
And on the heels of the NHL, WNBA has been a hot topic with the growth that sport obviously has had. Really, in the last couple of years, it's skyrocketed from what I see as well. What about interest as far as WNBA and the connection?
Well, the WNBA belongs here. I mean, the greatest team of all time, the Comets, and all the great Hall of Famers that came out of the Comets, and women's sports is just different today, I feel like the fans of Houston would really come out and support this team today. I feel like the companies would come out and buy the tickets for their women employees, where I don't think people looked at that back then. I don't know that I did. Okay, when I'm one of the longest season ticket holders of the Rockets. I'm in like the top 30. But I don't even know that I had comment tickets now that I think about it. But today, being in Houston and all the women that work for me, I would never be a company in Houston that didn't have 2 or 4 comment tickets.
Right.
And so I would expect that other companies would do that as much as a community service as things that we all do. Is we need to get out and support our women's basketball team.
Again, I appreciate you carving out some time, letting us hang out in your office for a few minutes.
Whatever you need, Randy. Appreciate all you've done here in the city. God, how many years have you been here now?
A little over 20 now.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's unbelievable.
Houston guy, so it's been fun. It's always talking to another local guy like yourself. Thanks for your time. Tilman Fertitta, appreciate you.
All right, great conversation with Tilman Fertitta, also with Ime Udoka. Special thanks, as always, to Ari Alexander as we talk Rockets basketball here from Toyota Center on Mic'd Up with McIlvoy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon here on KPRC 2+.